everybody, it's Justin Conoco from Grogan Conoco Real Estate Brokerage, and welcome to episode 15 of Ask the Closers, January 2016. We haven't had time to get you the market update until now because it has been non-stop crazy in the real estate world. December was a solid month. 2015 as a whole was actually the second best year in the entire history of our board. The only year that was better was 2007, actually right before we had the big recession. And this year, 9,366 homes sold total, and that's actually only 59 units shy of that 2007 mark. So what does that tell us? It tells us that the market is back to where it should be. And consumer confidence is back up. We're seeing a big spike of that in January with a ton of new listings hitting the market, lots of product moving on a very regular basis. We're also seeing that in the commercial world with a lot of businesses revitalizing, restructuring maybe the way they do business, finding new locations, opening up shop downtown. Everybody's seen a big resurgence in the downtown core. You look at the York and Talbot area, you look at Dundas, you look at, a lot of the places opening up on Richmond Row. There have been a number of sales actually recently on Richmond Row. The Toddle Inn just sold. There was It's Burger opened up, actually a great spot to eat. I've eaten there a couple times. The food is phenomenal. That place changed hands in 2015 and it's being put to good use. You're seeing a lot more foot traffic in places that maybe had some stagnant retail that really wasn't getting the traffic that it had previously. Back to the actual sales. So there was two increases. There were residential detached homes were 7,563 homes sold last year. That's 9.2% higher than the year before. And there were 1,803 condo sales, up 13%. So that should tell you something about the confidence in condominiums in London and how much activity there is. Now, the average price of a single detached residence is $282,229. That's up 4.3% on trend from previous years. And the condos were up 3.8% to an average price of $189,798. So if you're doing the math, you live in a condo, you live in a house, that should give you an idea of appreciation from where the house was last year. If you want an idea of where it's appreciated from when you bought it, just give us a shout. We're happy to give you that information. And I mean, that really depends on what area you're in. So something we explain to people quite often is real estate is hyper-local. It goes by city, areas, streets, and then even within a 3 or 4 street block, there could be a huge variation on price. Maybe one's backing onto protected woods, maybe there's a bunch of $600,000 houses, and then the next row is in the 350s or 4. It does happen quite often. So, looking at MLS and getting an idea of value of your house based on what stuff's listing for, not even close. I mean, list price doesn't really equate to what sold price is. So if you need the proper stats, give us a shout. We'll happily give that to you. Something we're going to do is we're going to dig in a little bit more into what we're doing in our world, share that with you guys, give you guys some things of value. So one thing that we are reading right now is the Guerrilla Marketing Remix. This book actually I've had for a number of years from my previous advertisement employment years ago. This was a staple, and the reason we're reading this is really to get to grassroots on how to reach the end consumer without going the typical routes. We hit every avenue you could possibly imagine: online marketing, MLS, the phone calls, the relationships, and all that stuff. This is really to complement that and really find a different way to get the consumer's attention. So if you're running a business, and whether it be a gym, or you run a sales office, or you run a cafe or a restaurant, really at the end of the day, we're all looking to service our consumers. So this is a good way to help you learn how to translate your message to your end consumer. And I highly, highly recommend it. There's a few other books that we're reading this month too. We'll kick those out in the episode 16 of the Ask the Closers show. As of right now, we're switching to a new format as well. So in 2016, we're going to be answering questions every episode based on things that matter. So you can follow us on Snapchat, Instagram at The Closers Team. You can ask us questions there. Most of you guys have my phone number as well too, or you can DM me. Happily put those in queue and we'll answer those questions. We actually had a legal question asked by a commercial tenant of ours about insurance. Now, when you're dealing with a commercial property, first off, use representation. There's no reason to go to the landlord. The representation's fee is actually covered by the landlord, so it's free. And it's a pretty dicey process to get from looking at the space to getting the best rate that's out there. You need to have some type of leverage to really get the best rate from the landlord, deciding what the build outs are going to be. And then when you're getting to the actual contract, that's where the stickiness can get. Excuse me. So the question that we had from our client was about the insurance clause. They call their insurer, they have a blanket, like all-inclusive insurance policy, and they thought that that would suffice. When we got into the meat of the lease, what we realized was the landlord had included language that stipulated that the repairs would have to be done up to the landlord's standards and code. So that leaves things open-ended. So if you're the tenant, you move into the space, you open up a restaurant, and after a year or two, say you're in a 5-year lease, front window gets smashed, vandalized. Call your insurance company, they come in, they fix it, everything seems all great. Your landlord shows up, sees that the glass was replaced, tells you our building standards have changed. You need to rip that out and you need to put in new glass. You call your insurance company says, oh yeah, you have an all-inclusive policy, but in that policy it states that we were only going to replace it to the original fit. So there you're going to have a big problem. You're going to have a situation where you've done a repair, the landlord clearly has the legal right to have you replace it up to the current code as per their standard, but your insurance company says, we've already paid you and we only agreed to replace what was originally in that space. So this is where the language matters quite a bit. It needs to be reviewed by your commercial realtor and it needs to be reviewed by your insurer. There's other clauses that landlords will sometimes include, making sure that you carry insurance, so if you ever have a major disaster, there's still an income stream coming in from the insurance company so that they get paid their rent. Lots of little fine details that get looked over when you get really excited about building out your space and opening up shop. Just something to keep in mind, that you're best handling your business and leave the details to the people that do that for a living. We don't really like making these shows about us. We don't like pushing and saying, call us, we'll represent you. Obviously we will. Our business is built on referral. We'll never push ourselves on you guys and make you feel uncomfortable, but know that you need representation to go down that path. We've dealt with, in the past year, probably a good 10 or 15 phone calls from people that had done leases themselves, got themselves in situations, and we're trying to get out of it, and a lot of times there's no solution because contract law is contract law. So I'm not going to leave that on a super down note. We want to thank you guys for taking the time to watch this episode. We just answered this one question because we wanted to keep it kind of short. Just going back to the market update, just to finish off with that, we're seeing a lot of activity happening in 2016. We have nonstop been listing properties since January. We've sold quite a lot of our inventory in December and January. Going into the new year, we're only getting more and more phone calls as to what people's properties are worth and what they want to be buying. So if you're in the market and you're thinking of making a move, we're always around. We're always here to answer your questions. If you just have general real estate questions, you want to know what's going on in the city, you want to bump your business, let us know. We'll make you a part of what we're doing because we want London as a community to grow, and we want to help you do that in any way we can. Hope you guys have a great day. Take care.